All right, so we got through Oregon. We got through USC. 2 losses. The USC game went a little bit better than the Oregon game. But where is kind of your temperature on this team as they go up against a more reasonable opponent, which Chase also just told me happens to be maybe your alma mater and the Arizona State Sun Devils? Mr. Munsterteiger, how we doing, and how we feeling about the team this week?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way that I would have felt if the last couple games didn't happen. We knew when the schedule came out that was just going to be a brutal stretch, and obviously they underperformed at Oregon, and you could make the case that they overperformed against USC. Obviously, they overperformed what the odds makers expected from them in that game. So, growing pains, you learned a lot. You have a new offensive playmaker that emerged, and Omarion Miller, and so there's some positives to take away from that. You're going to get some guys back from injury, so that's another positive, but you also lose your starting right tackle, so it's kind of a mixed bag as you go out there. But this is a game, when you look at an Arizona State team that is just so depleted with injuries right now, that doesn't have much motivation other than their personal pride for themselves and the team, because it was shortly before the season kicked off that it was announced there was a 1-year bowl ban. So it's been a rough go at things for Kenny Dillingham in his first year there. So looking at it from Colorado's standpoint, and the point they've been making all week is we've got to win first and second quarter. If they do that, if they get out to a better start than they have in recent weeks, they're going to win this football game. But that's a tough place to play. And we've been talking a lot about the weather. I don't know if that's going to be the biggest factor, but for whatever reason, in Chase, I don't know if you've been down to any of those games in Tempe, but it's a weird environment, and somehow it's a tough place to play, even though the crowd's not on top of you. They're not all that loud. But Colorado's had some rough trips down there. They're 1-4 on the road against the Sun Devils as conference foes, and that one win was a nail-biter. That was the Mel Tucker Shorts game. So it's a tough place to play, but this is a game if Colorado doesn't make the big mistakes that they made early against USC and then throughout much of that Oregon game, that they should be able to come out victorious this Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. And the 2 games against Oregon and USC, not that you want to just kind of crumple them up and throw them away, but you knew that there was going to be, a real talent difference on both sides of the football here. And I agree with your analysis about maybe they did overachieve against USC, the way that they managed to come back in that second half. But I want to highlight one point that you made about getting off to that good start, first and second quarter, because CU was absolutely in that USC game till the very end because of their strong second half. But what have you heard around the team, or what do you personally think is key to getting off to that hot start? Last week, I know we talked a lot about the run dynamic and getting the run game going. We talked about Shedeur Sanders and all he has to do. What do you think is the secret formula here to get CU to start off strong in this game against ASU?
Well, if there was an obvious secret formula, they would have already implemented that. So it wouldn't have been an issue early against USC again, because that had been an issue for Colorado. Obviously, they needed pretty much every second that they had left on the clock to come back against CSU, and that still required 2 overtimes. And then Oregon, you can't fall down early against a team like that on the road in Autzen Stadium. And so it's been a learning lesson for them, the importance of getting off to a slow start. I don't know how you fix it other than trying to emphasize it. And maybe this week, just the fact that you are going against an injury-depleted team, a team that is kind of down in the dumps right now and can take advantage of that, and that would be a way to get back on track. And then once you have that momentum of getting out to solid fast starts, maybe it builds from there. But I don't know. Sean Lewis has mentioned that he's not into scripting plays, that he's go by feel type of offensive coordinator. Maybe you want to script a little bit more and see if that can help things early in games for these guys to get off to a better start. But if there was an easy answer, it would have been fixed before.
So CU is going to go up against what appears to be a third-string quarterback, but it's not the first time that they've gone up against Trenton. Is it Trenton Bourget? Or it sounds very French. I want to say Bourgeois.
It's Bourget.
Bourget. Okay, there we go. Trenton Bourget, he threw for 435 yards against CU last year. What do you know about him, and what is CU going to have to do to slow him down?
Well, I know from covering that game in Boulder last year that if you just leave the middle of the field wide open, that Trenton Bourget is a good enough quarterback to keep hitting that guy. And a lot of his passes were just missed assignments from the linebackers. Obviously, Colorado's defensive play throughout most of last season was pretty awful. And so they made Trenton Bourget look like a really good quarterback that day. I don't know. Colorado's defense this year has struggled at times, but it's certainly much more talented than that group that went against him last year. So I'd imagine they're going to have a better game plan. And maybe it does help the fact that these Colorado coaches have, that film of what he did in Folsom Field last year. Trent Bourget has not been like that in most of the other contests that he started, but he is a good enough quarterback with good enough skills that if you just gift wrap, open receivers, then he's going to take advantage of that. So I don't expect him to have 435 passing yards again against the Buffs, but this has been a defense. While they've been opportunistic at times for Colorado, they've also had real lapses in Arizona State. I still feel is a little bit better than what they've shown this year. Their defense is a little saltier. So you're going to have to come in with a good game plan, execute it. But my perception of Trenton Bourget is very off because I just keep going back to memories of him picking apart CU's defense. But he is their third-string quarterback, and he was that coming into the season for a reason.
By the way, I have been to a game in Tempe. I think it was 2017. Shea Fields had a couple of drop passes in that game for them to lose it. That's the only thing I really remember.
Brutal.
Big Play Shea is what we used to call him, and I think I had a nickname for him after that I won't mention again. But speaking of slowing down ASU's quarterback, it looks like CU's going to get a lot healthier in the secondary this week. Shiloh Sanders is probably definitely going to play. Carter Stoutmeyer looks like he's been practicing this week. Miles Slusher has also been practicing this week. What are you seeing in terms of the Buffs getting healthy, and who do you expect to see this week?
Yeah, that gives them more of a rotation. We even heard that even though Roderick Ward is not going to be the starting safety in their base package, if Shiloh Sanders is indeed back in the mix and he was wearing a no-contact jersey, it does sound likely that he'll be back in that starting lineup. But Roderick Ward said, hey, I'm a starter in certain packages, and I think that's going to be the case with a guy like Miles Slusher. You can't take Cameron Silman Craig off the field too much because he leads the Pac-12 in interceptions right now. You still want to get Cormani McLean some of those reps, but Carter Stoutmeyer was the true freshman corner that came in this summer ready to go from the jump and played 20 snaps against Nebraska, looked pretty solid in that game. So you want to get him reps as well. And when you talk about going down to the desert, and I think it's 102 is the last I heard in terms of the high, and they're kicking off at 4:30. Having more guys to be able to rotate defensively, that's a good thing. So you're still, I think, going to see the primary guys, Amarian Cooper out there at corner, Trevor Woods at safety. Again, Silman Craig, you really can't take him off the field too much. And then Shiloh. But, yeah, you have more bodies to keep everybody fresh now.
I want to ask about the relationship between Deion Sanders and Arizona State head coach Kelly Dinningham. And I know that Prime had some stuff to say about he thinks very highly of him. Like, you're not going to get any bulletin board material from either side this week, but there's not, I don't think, a whole lot known about this relationship, but I heard some speculation that at one point they were going to work together on a coaching staff. Like, what do you know about the mutual respect between these two guys as their respective programs get ready to face each other this weekend?
Yeah, the speculation, and I won't emphasize this is speculation, but was that, Kenny Dillingham, if Coach Prime was hired at Florida State, would have been his OC there. Coach Prime did mention that there was an opportunity that they might have been working together. And so the respect comes off the fact that he did his homework in terms of Kenny Dillingham and who he was. He was very quick to answer those questions about him. So he wasn't just, a lot of times coaches are just going to say nice things to avoid the bulletin board material. But Coach Prime clearly has a lot of respect for him. I mean, Buffs fans should too. Remember, Oregon came into Folsom Field with Kenny Dillingham as their OC, and he was throwing every trick play at them. They couldn't stop Oregon, and it was fun to watch if you weren't a Colorado fan. And so he has a very good offensive mind. He's 33 years old, so he's still got things that he can learn, but he's still taking over play calling duties at Arizona State. Some things have gotten better since that change took place. But no, he's a good coach. I don't know long-term what the success possibility is there. I do know that he's got a lot of passion for Arizona State. He went to school there, started his coaching career in the Phoenix area, so it was a return to home for him. And that always helps in recruiting when those players that come on visits can feel that passion from you. But he is so young, and this program, it's just tough when you don't have the final word from the NCAA right now. So that's going to be used against them in recruiting. Now, they did self-impose this bowl ban, but you don't know if the NCAA is going to come in and drop more penalties. I mean, it was just egregious what Arizona State did in the Herm Edwards tenure during the COVID, trying to host recruits when, those recruits, if they don't commit to you, they're going to go somewhere else, and they own no loyalty towards you. So to think that you could do that and not get caught is ridiculous, and they deserve some penalties, but it sucks for those current Sun Devils that they're the ones that are being penalized.
Yeah, I'm kind of impartial about it because I don't think you should be self-imposing a bowl ban when you have what was expected to be a true freshman starting quarterback and a new coach and a team that wasn't going to be very good. They probably weren't going to go to a bowl anyway, but also I don't think that these kids should suffer from what Herm Edwards did. Adam, last question for you. We ranked our top 5 CU buffs so far this season. I'm wondering if you could give us your ranking. You don't have to put them in order. We put them in order, but that's a little difficult. Just give us your top 5 players that you've seen so far.
Off the top of my head, you got to start with Shedeur, obviously. And then I'm going to throw Juwan Mitchell into my top 5.
Yeah.
Cameron Sillman-Craig, I mean, he's had big game-changing plays, 3 interceptions so far. I know I'm going to leave somebody off important here. And then I think you got to go with, let's throw Zay Weaver, and Travis has just missed too much action. So I'll go Jimmy Horn Jr. But if I had another couple minutes, maybe I would go different. But that's off the top of my head, the top 5 that come to mind.
All smiles, as I believe all 5 of those were also on all 5 of our list, just in some different order, one way or the other. So
there's about 7 that you can put in there.
Yeah.
It's just hard to organize them the right way.
They say great minds think alike, and it's always good when Adam Munsterteiger's on the same page with the fellas here at the studio. But my friend, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time. Before we get out of here, anything you want to plug over at buffstampede.com, all the coverage you guys are doing, basketball season around the corner, anything you want to leave the listener with?
Yeah, well, I'll be down in Tempe this weekend, and so definitely check out our coverage. And, basketball media days around the corner as well, so we're going to be checking in with Tad and those guys a little bit more. It was cool to see Cody Williams and Tristan Da Silva and KJ Simpson get invited to that dinner with the 76ers. It's crazy to think that hoop season is just around the corner, I think about a month away from right now.
Lovely. Well, we're looking forward to it. We'll keep locked on over at buffstampede.com, and away we go. Safe travels, and we'll do it again next week. Adam, thank you so much for a few minutes.